Hello, Mr. Hisham. Thank you so much for taking the time for this interview. We are from Business Tomorrow. Just a quick rundown about what we are. We are a student publication seeking to democratize the discourse around the business industry in Canada and get more student voices in there. So we thank you so much for the time that you took to give us this interview.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, TJ, and thank you, Murshid, for making the time as well.
So,
Pleasure.
without further ado, we can begin with the questions. Could you start by sharing your life story? Today, you're the chief revenue officer of one of the largest media organizations in Canada and in North America. But how did you reach this point?
Yeah, sure. So I was born first, right? So you have so I'm Lebanese by origin. So I lived born in the mid '70s actually during the Lebanese War. Why this is important? Because when you are born in a state of where there is a conflict, obviously this will shape people differently, right? So, and make them a bit more resilient, a bit more. It can turn you either way, actually. And later on in my life, I graduated in advertising and marketing. This is a topic and a subject that I always admired and wanted and had passion to. I graduated from university and decided just to pursue to push my career in the Middle East. And so I left Lebanon, my home country, and moved to Dubai. Majority of the media companies were establishing themselves in Dubai itself. So I worked with the largest 5 companies between WPP to later on IPG to Omnicom before actually moving to Canada in 2013, where I've worked also for one of the top agencies as well, Network Holding. It's called Dentsu. My last job with them was a CEO for their media and performance operation, and all the way led me to the role that I currently have with CBC Radio Canada, being the Chief Revenue Officer of the public broadcaster.
Thank you very much. And just delving a bit deeper into that, you decided to enter the media industry when, particularly in the East, people weren't as open as, it wasn't seen as a career going into media, as I think we have discussed previously as well. So, how was that kind of conversation, especially with family and friends, convincing them that this is a good industry?
Yeah, so media is fragmented, right? So my entry point was in advertising more than the actual media and publishing and broadcasting. But still, it was a tough discussion, right? So the being born and raised in Lebanon, the expectation for kids are like, either you are a doctor, or you are an engineer, or you're a lawyer, or you are a failure, technically. So yeah, it was always a discussion at home for what are you doing and why you are choosing advertising and marketing. And it was even harder to explain it because back in the days, we're talking, like I'm old, right? I'm not that young anymore, TJ and Murshid. So back in the days, it was very hard because it's very hard to explain what you are doing on every single day to my parents, who they have no clue actually what advertising. All they know about advertising is what they see on TV or a specific ad that they see in a newspaper, right? So this is the most of it. They didn't know that, it involves actually a lot of data and consumer information, and there's lots of statistical data and planning and the strategy behind it and so on and so forth. So yeah, unfortunately, it's not that easy to explain it, and it's very hard. But like everything else, like if you tell today, if I have to tell myself today, my old self, like what I'm doing today, it would be like, are you serious? Do you really think they're gonna be like phones and media streaming? And I don't think so, right? So everything changed so quickly, and to your point, true, it was very, very tough being specifically in the Middle East, actually, and specifically in a place like Lebanon. That said, Lebanon was a bit more progressive than the rest of the Middle East back in the days, the 1970s and 1980s. So the majority of the people are just like, they were used to the concept of advertising and marketing and commercialization. So this helped a lot in that transformation and that move into that specific passion and make it a career.
No, but kudos to you for finding your passion and pursuing it. I know it's very hard to, especially when you're young. So you've had extensive experience in many C-suite roles, many leadership roles in general. How has those experiences shaped the leader you are today?
Yeah, uh, I mean, I would say it's always hard to explain, right? So if, how each one of them shape, because it's a journey, right? It's a career. It's that level of resilience that you have on every single job of them, and then how much learning. I think people, my a sample of one. I don't think actually. I don't see leadership the same way people see leadership. I see leadership as an opportunity, actually, just like to grow ourselves, and then hopefully just like rallying other people within the organization, just like to work with you into something. I don't. It's not a vertical thing. It's not like someone on top. I mean, it requires lots of collaboration, and it's proving to be more and more. More and more interesting and different from how people perceive it, right? So one of the main reasons why I left my home country was that I didn't see that leadership in politics that actually can take the country from a place to another place, right? So lots of people smart and educated and what have you, but there are stuff not within their control sometimes, or like have different perspective to it. Anyway, so my view to that was every single step of the way, I was open to learning, to just to be open to understand more about myself. There is no bad time. I always was concerned about every single time I applied for a job. Usually they take you into this psychometric model, right? Psychometric testing,
Yes,
just to
yes.
understand more about you. And that was a concern all the time, right? Because what would they say if they find something about me? And I think my concern was like me knowing about me more than them knowing about themselves, and then making sure what that is. But when you get to that level of accepting yourself and accepting what you are, and knowing that if you accept, you have the chance to change. You have the chance to be a better person. You have the chance to be a better leader, to lead truly in a responsible way and by design, and for people to aspire to what you represent. I think it's very, very important, and it's a journey. It's a never stopping. So there's no point where I feel like, oh, I've done enough. I think I can stop here. And so no, we continue to learn every single day on those leaderships role, and I think it's important. The learning piece is a big and important part of what we do and how we grow within our career.
And like moving on towards like your current role at CBC, could you take us to a day of your life as a chief revenue officer of CBC?
Sure, sure. I mean, every day is different. So, but yeah, I'm an early riser. I just wake up early in the morning. I look at the news. Obviously, we are the news, and then we write the news, and then just to see what's going on. I don't check my emails before 8 o'clock, just to make sure that I just I get enough know what's going on around me, and then I just start by checking my emails, see what's burning, truly what's urgent, what's not urgent, classification. I love to noodle and write down stuff, so I just start sketching like, okay, this is something I want to do today, this is something it can wait for 48 hours and what have you. And then I start attending. I usually call every week. I have a what I call the big rock. So there is something big to be done every week. And then there are small rocks, and there are like stuff that you want to delegate, right? So the stuff that you don't want to do. So I always focus on, is the big rock within a place where it can be achieved this week, and or that specific day, or what I need to do with that specific item. And then immediately I start, after this, assessing this situation. I might work a bit or decide just to give it a couple of extra hours for later in the day, and then I start with the urgent stuff, right? So reaching out to the team, seeing if there's anything that they would like me to do that specific day, reaching out to clients. Sometimes we have lots of, the schedule is full, right? So it's not like you can change it. It's my schedule is like 2 to 3 weeks already built in. So it's done, it's ready, and but again, like everyone, right? There are urgent stuff that happen all the time, and you have to attend to. Make yourself available to the team, because when you promise to have an open door policy and then being accessible, you'll have to lead with that as well. So being available all the time for the team also, and then being available for clients, right? And Sometimes you'll have to speak to your line managers and see what's going on in the world. And yeah, so there's no typical day. I would say it's every day is different. Every day just like has its own successes and challenges and fun stuff, and then not so fun stuff to do. Yeah, and then I wrap up my day around 6 o'clock in the evening. I go back to reading also, just to see what's happening in the business, in the industry, in the market. So this is winding down in the evening, just trying to educate myself on stuff and catching up with the team. And yeah, that's a wrap for the day. The rest is family time.
The most important.
The most important part for sure.
I think I'm going to follow up on a question a point that you made up earlier about how the media landscape is changing. You mentioned about streaming and social media. So from your view, how would you kind of summarize how the media landscape has evolved over time, and what kind of the challenges that poses for you in your current role?
Sure, big question, loaded question. So I don't think the media changed personally. The thing is that we have changed as consumers, right? So this is what happened. It's not the product. The product just follow actually a specific change that happened in the market, and us as a human, our life changed a lot, right? So from the way that our expectation have changed, right? So the pace of our life has changed, which actually, like everything around us, it has to, and the technology has changed also. So it forced the media to change and to follow suit as well. There are still people up till this minute, they want to read a newspaper, like a physical newspaper. I mean, you cannot change that. They love it. So people are catering for them. Some other people, they still watch the news every single morning on the television, and this is exactly what they want to do. Others, they want to listen to the radio, right? And then to an AM. Do you know what an AM is? So it's a different wave than the FM actually, right? But because it's important to them, and this is because this is their behavior. So streaming came because of the younger generation, right? It's more on the move, and then we had internet, right? I mean, streaming without internet wouldn't have existed, right? So the technology advanced, the devices have actually progressed to a phone, to a tablet, to an iPad, and then media had to catch up eventually with all of this. So I would say definitely the streaming is making huge waves right now in growth. It's constitute a big chunk of it, but it's not the only one. I will go deeper, actually, delve deeper on like what are the elements under streaming, right, that actually are making changes as well, and then the size of the bite itself of our consumption. Do you like to consume a 5 minutes content or a 10 or 15-minute contents? And advertising and publicity also, and just they follow suit. Like if you have people, they don't want to watch a 60 seconds ad anymore. They don't want to watch a 30 seconds ad. They want to watch a 5 seconds ad, right? And that also just changed the media industry from a truly receptive mode, sitting behind your TV or having your newspaper in front of you, to a more progressive, in more looking for engagement, right? So are the people watching TV or like listening or watching their phone or YouTube on their phone, or like looking at their TikTok and Instagram, or are they truly engaged in what's happening around them, or they're skipping through? And I can guarantee for you that you and others, including my kids, you don't pay any attention, and you have zero engagement whatsoever with what's happening, because you don't know what you're consuming most of the time. So that span of engagement and attention has a huge impact on the media, and we're trying all the time to catch up, to see actually it's not only about actually having the content, right? But, just having an attentive, an engaging content that actually make people more attentive to what's happening around them, so they can actually consume it in the right way, and then they can get something out of it, right? Did you watch the news this morning? Do you know what's happening in the world? What if I tell you there will be an earthquake hitting Canada after a few days, and the people should be leaving? You didn't know, right?
Yeah.
So because and this is the span of attention that we have. Like we're becoming Nemos, right? So we're becoming those small fish actually that very very short span of attention that actually media can help, right? But media has lots of work to do also to catch up with the requirement of what the young generation actually and the rest of the population is asking us to do. Actually, it's a big responsibility.
You know, I was reading somewhere that the business of the future is going to be about catching people's attention, because till now, there was a dearth of resources, then there was a dearth of money or capital, but now we are reaching a time when there's a dearth of attention. You have abundant amount of capital, you have enough resources, you just don't have the attention. So if we can go into that economy, somehow tap into that, and particularly from the media segment as well, I'm sure with the advent of YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels, that has impacted you. That has impacted your financial structures as well, in terms of how, as an industry, how you guys make money from it. So could you tell us a little bit about that? How the attention economy comes into play, and how the media industry is trying to capitalize on it monetarily?
Disagree with the point. There is not enough capital or business, just like so that actually, and that's why possibly I didn't understand the question very well, TJ, but I think you said that there's lack of capital.
No. So say 50 years ago, there used to be a lack of resources, right? Lack of capital.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
was a huge divide between haves and have-nots. I mean, think about it. 50 to 70 years ago, how many people had TVs in their houses? How
Yeah.
many people could read and could access the
Got it.
newspaper? But today, through the advent of the mobile phone and technology, almost everyone has access to resources.
Yeah, yeah.
So the capital, there's no dearth of capital in that sense.
Yeah, yeah.
What there is a dearth of today is attention span, which
Yeah.
is something to
It's a
capitalize.
byproduct, right? So when you have all those devices, back in the days, let's go back to the 1940s, before we were born. I'm assuming maybe not even your parents were born as well. There is only one TV at home.
Yeah.
Black and white. Everyone gathered together, just like during the evening, actually, just to watch the news and maybe if there is something. So that span of attention, everyone, it was a big thing, right? Fast forward 1960s, 1970s, and this is when the TV actually went from black and white to color, right? So again, that spam, and then more content started coming, and the radios and the newspaper. So each one of those media were used and consumed differently and then served the purpose. Today, we have everything on a one device, technically. You can actually read, you can listen, you can watch, you can consume, you can work, you can do your job, you can do your work, you can send email on technically on one device, right? So the engagement is with one device. The problem with all of this is that we're jumping with all over the place on one specific device. I would be, because everything's platform based, right? So I would be just answering an email, and all of a sudden, and one of the email is just, oh, I have to read something, right, on a publication. I click on it and go to publication. And while I'm watching a publication, I get a pop-up, actually. There is a YouTube about this new guy that doing, I don't know, something. And I was like, oh yeah, I follow this guy, I watch, and I jump into that specific one. So that habit of increase of consumption, actually, our brain has limitation to, not limitation to consume, have limitation actually to what truly are the stuff that I have to keep, So everything goes into the system without actually paying enough attention to it. However, people are saying today there are stuff happening on those devices that actually can bring our attention, or just like actually we are attentive to it. I don't think there is a measurement or a currency today just to get to that level of it, but we cannot continue just doing what we're doing today with all that lack of attention. I think the major lack of attention is because we all fall under that misconception of multitasking.
Yeah.
We think that we can multitask. I don't think we can multitask. That's multitasking. I think it's a myth for me, right? So because I know for a fact, if you give me one task and I do it, or be it listening to radio or watching a TV program, then I have enough attention. I'm engaged. I have enough attention. I do a good job, right? From it, I see the ads. I mean, if they are customized, made for me, personalized, I get it. But if you tell me like, keep on jumping on a train trip between Toronto and Ajax, I would tell you that. But by the time I arrive, I mean, I would have consumed a lot, but nothing technically.
Yeah.
Right. So nothing will. I won't keep anything.
You
out
never
of it.
remember what you've seen on a TikTok.
Nothing.
reel
I think
or-
this you
yeah.
just did it right? So this function of like just skipping, it means nothing. And I know you guys, you do it 99% of the time during the day.
So, talking about the role of the media industry, to a lot of people, media plays as the fourth pillar of a civilization. First being, government, the justice system, and the economy, and then the fourth being the media industry. Increasingly, we see a polarization in terms of the views towards certain media platforms. Taking the example of the US, a person who is more liberal is going to say Fox News is biased. Someone who is more conservative is going to think that CNN is biased. So that distrust in media platforms has started to play a huge role in public discourse. And in that, we also see that media platforms also tend to show, have biases. It's not that just the customer just thinks that. So where do you see media's responsibility there? Taking, I just want to contextualize this with the recent acquisition of Twitter, or currently X, by Elon Musk. He had the idea that it was too left-leaning, basically, and he wanted to make it more free speech. A lot of controversy happened there. So, with all this happening, as someone in the media industry, what are your views?
So I think this concept of like the world is more polarized today, I think for me it's wrong. Again, sample of one, it's wrong. I don't think so. I think the world has been polarized. The fact that in every single country there is more than one party ruling, right? That tells you that the world this is what's two parties in a country or three, but this is polarization. Like it's already happening there. So I think there is more that level of growth and exponential growth of social media, right? And the consumption of media as we know it today, and the ease of consuming, of knowing through social media, is what made us think that, okay, the world is more polarized today because we know more, right? Fox has been there forever and then has been with the Republican forever, right? And then have been saying the same stuff forever. It's only the amplification of what's been said on Fox today that goes to the social media feeds and people start talking more about it, right? So people are more knowledgeable about it. Back in the days, I was in the Middle East. I wouldn't know what Fox is possibly, right? Because I have no interest. But today, if I'm following the presidential election in the US and I'm sitting, I don't know, in Timbuktu, right? And I have access to social media and I have an Instagram, I have Snapchat, I would know what's going on. And I would have, and if you know, because we are a human, if we know about something, then immediately we want to develop an opinion about it. And the minute we develop an opinion, there is two ways to develop an opinion, either with or against. There's no other way in the middle, right? Because if you're not either or, then you don't care, then you wouldn't actually be part of that. And the minute you develop that, the with or against, right, then you're accepting that the world is polarized. And it has been polarized all the time now. So that's my opinion about polarization in general. It has been there. Again, the evolution of everything happened because of the media available today and the access to internet and the access to the free world as we know it today. Now, about what you said about X and the change from Twitter to X and whatnot. So I don't know much about Elon Musk, right? But I don't think people wake up in the morning and saying, you know what, I'm gonna just go and then destroy the world by changing Twitter to be X, and then and people and under the context of like free speech. I don't think anyone would do that. Who will spend $40 billion actually to buy something and then just take it all the way down to the ground, right? No one would do that. I think the biggest question, just connecting all this together, is responsibility and our responsibility and connecting it with the media. Every single one of us, not only the media, right? Because what is media at the end of the day? It's people. People are, they have microphones and they have airtime and they will be there just talking about, right, an opinion, right? My view is, you should, if you have the option to be a media person, a journalist, you'll have to maintain your neutrality. at all times, right? Your job is to just to bring the news as is. Your job is not to give me your opinion. I will develop my own opinion about that. Because the minute you give me an opinion, then I would question actually your biases, right? So are you for or are you against why you're telling me, why you are feeding me what I don't want to know? I want to develop my own bias if I have to. So with that said, what we need as a world globally is actually more responsible approach to regulation, right? So people actually, we need more clear and clear cut laws that actually can govern the world. And we need actually a justice system that have the force to implement those laws at all times. So if Elon Musk would have said something that people doesn't agree with, it's not about what I think, it's what's the law, right? Did he breach the law? Should he go to jail or not? Should he be actually be penalized, yes or no? Then let the justice system actually take action to that. But let's not take it to the media. I mean, the media has nothing to do with all of this. I don't think so. These are platforms at the end of the day, right? And people have the right to say whatever they want to say. I think there should be, it's a nuanced difference about like what we think about media, what media is, what people are doing in media, and truly, if Elon Musk can buy a platform and then say whatever they want or not. I think what we're missing in all of this is, I mean, we've seen it recently with all the Google and the Google in the US and with the Department of Justice, right? Yeah. About the monopolization and what have you. The system is failing. It's failing because we didn't have laws, actually, that it's as modern as Google is modern. So that's why they are failing. These are new stuff for the justice system. Same in the EU, right? The European system. They are failing towards that. They are pushing new laws and new regulation today, actually. So we cannot blame people all the time for just doing wrong stuff when the law actually doesn't specify exactly what's right, what's wrong. So we'll have to go back. My view will have to go back to the basics, and the journalist and the media has to always stay neutral, and people they have to give a neutral opinion and then decide on what they want to do and which side to take at the end of the day. And yes, the world will continue to be polarized because we always have someone who will say yes and no, and this is what will define us. And this is democracy, right? By
yes.
the way. So.
Talking about neutrality, recently with the advent of AI, we've been seeing a growing trend of deep fakes where they'll make a video of, say, Elon Musk or Donald Trump saying something even though they haven't said that, and spreading misinformation that way. How is traditional media outlets like CBC, like other established platforms, how are they using AI, incorporating AI into their pre-established operations and using it to spread correct information?
Yeah. It's not about a specific organization. It's us, all of us, how are we using AI, right? So I will not go question you how are you using AI at university, at school. That's not the time. Nevertheless, we are all using AI in different capacity. And I think the tool, but you said it right? So anything in the world can be used for good, can be used for bad. It's not the person, I would say, right? So actually, it is the person to decide on, right? It's up to you to decide. If you want to use AI just for something good or want to use it for something bad, I cannot stop you, right? But we go back to the same discussion, like what are the new regulations that actually govern our utilization for something like that? And every single organization today, they have the same challenges. But, I mean, are we talking about automation or are we talking about artificial intelligence, right? And then the validation of things. Because you said it today, you didn't watch the news. But what if the news that you have consumed is all fraud?
Yeah.
Right? Everything. It's AI based. Someone just decided to do it, I don't know, somewhere in a small country, right? And say like, okay, it would be funny just to put this and this and this, and all of a sudden you have a great story that's taking the world by storm, and then the younger generation is just like, oh, that's good. And then knowing you guys, I mean, including my kids, like, oh, that's funny. And then you spread it, and all of a sudden this becomes like a couple of billion of people are consuming news that has nothing to do with the reality, right? That's bad. So that's why it's very important for the young generation and for all of us to validate what we are receiving, and then just to make sure that is it right or wrong, and not to share before validating. I mean, there is this concept of like, oh, it's easy to share, I will deal with it later on, right? But majority of the time, when you do something and you cannot just reverse it. You cannot break something and then expect there will be, I'm going to put it back together, and there will be no problems, no challenges, no issues, right? And everything's going to be fine again. You know, that's not that easy. AI I would love to believe that everything that we do as a human, we do it for good. The interpretation of that and how the utilization of that as a tool is up to us to decide if we do it right or wrong. Organization are actually questioning what we're doing with it. Some people are using AI for bad, not for good, and it's actually impacting us, impacting you guys, impacting the world, and we'll have to be very, very careful. And I think, again, just not to blame everything to the justice system, but I think the lawmakers in every single country and globally, they have to get together and then have to agree on what's their responsibility actually to regulate AI and how we can utilize it, and then enforce laws actually just so to eliminate those frauds and to eliminate the negativity around it. So whenever we want to use it, we use it for good, all of us, right? There will be always someone people who will use it for different purposes, but I think AI is a good thing. For me, AI is a good thing. I use it only for the good stuff. So
ChatGPT has been a great helper for a lot of students at university as well.
absolutely, but again, I mean, are you putting is ChatGPT helping? I mean, as someone who with Arabic background, right, and then I speak French as my second language, and then English as my third language, right? This is how I was raised, right? So coming here and expecting, if I use it to do stuff for me, I put the question there, put those questions there, like, tell me what you think. Right? That's not what it's used for, right? But if I just write down what I want to do, and what I have and what I think, and tell them, can you correct those grammatical mistakes that I always make? And after a while, actually, I took advantage of the AI system, because right now, every single time I put a text and then correct it for grammatical and then sentence structure, I started writing better. So you can say that I'm taking advantage of that, and it's working.
Yeah.
But if you wanted for it to sit and then write all your master's research, right, and give it only few information, hey, can you just give me a paper of 30 pages and then 30,000 words about what's the impact of AI in the future of media companies, and then just give me all the text and give me all the references, and that's not what it's used for, right? How smart would you be next when you get something out of that?
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah, and just to wrap up, kind of talking about advice again, considering like the current economic challenges many students are facing in securing internships, what would you recommend for the viewers out there who are looking for internships, how they can distinguish themselves, how they can stand out in this current climate?
Yeah, attention. Attention. Talking about attention. Pay attention. Pay attention to what you are. Most of the time, you don't know what you are. When I speak to my son, who's your age actually, and then I tell him like, you're business finance, right? But business finance is so fragmented, right? So you cannot be everything in a world that actually is demanding us to be more and more centralized and to simplify things. So within all this world, just like be more specific, be direct. You have passion to something, follow that specific passion. So I would, if I have to tell you something, guys, for you and for me, for my younger me, I would say like, you have a passion, just develop that, there is passion to something, right? Just dig deeper to understand how you connect that passion to what you're doing at university, and then what truly that job that it's gonna wake you up every single morning with a smile on your face, and then do it without thinking that you're actually working, because that's the blessing that you want. You want to have a job that actually will keep you engaged, and then don't think about, oh, I'm gonna work 8 hours or 9 hours or 10 hours a day. Should I demand my boss actually just to pay me for overtime or not? Because most of the time, if you do something that you really like, then you don't think time doesn't matter. The concept of time doesn't bother you anymore, right? Because this is what bothers us most of the time. Like if you're doing a work and someone tell you like you'll have to do a little bit more, and you say like I don't want to do that work, I don't want to work extra, right? I'm not saying working extra is right. All I'm saying is like, just imagine a world where like every one of us knows exactly what they like, knows exactly what they can add value to the world, knows exactly what's the business and the job they want to do, and they will get paid fairly because they are good at it, and then advance and progress nicely in it in the future. And then that word would be an awesome word. Too perfect to be true, but I think this is where you have to focus. Focus on the stuff that really is important to each one of you. You're different individuals. You're all in business management and business, but each one of you has a specific side that you would like to dig deeper into and specialize in. So go into specialization. Learning is key. Continuous learning is key. Don't think that if I have a bachelor degree is enough, right?
Yeah.
So it's not enough. Um, lots of your credential on LinkedIn. I was giving this to a couple of kids yesterday. I look at the LinkedIn and like there's nothing there. I'm like, yeah, I have to be a bit more active on LinkedIn. No, you'll have to be active only on LinkedIn. Drop Instagram, drop Snapchat, and if you want to find a job, I mean, Snapchat and Twitter and what have you, unless you are an influencer, good for you. But this is where you'll have to focus on. And when you know exactly what you want to do, there is plenty of certification that you can do outside university, and most of them are free of charge, right? That you can do that will actually just put you on the top of that list when employers are considering for new people, new interns or new employees.
No, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And it was a pleasure. I'm sure our audience found this very insightful. And I look forward to perhaps having another one maybe next year.
Absolutely. Thank you, TJ. Thank you. And good luck for both of